Hello, I'm John Feldt, and this is the Blue Water Outlook weekly water outlook for the southern region, including Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas. Well, over the eastern U.S., it was quite busy over the last week with quite a bit of rain. You can see here in this area in yellow, 2 inches to 4 inches of rain and isolated higher amounts. But over Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, no rain whatsoever over the last week. Now, there was a little bit of rain over the eastern part of Texas. You can see some of the area in blue. That's a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. You can see some more blue over Arkansas. But for the most part, it was a very quiet week with no rain. And as you might expect, percent of normal rainfall was 25% of normal over the area. A couple exceptions here and there, but for the most part, near 0% of normal rainfall over the last 7 days. Now, in those pockets of some very light precipitation, there were some snow flurries of very light snow. That's indicated by the purple dots here, and you can see over the northwest part of Texas, here and there over Oklahoma, and definitely a lot more over Arkansas. There was some snow. The more significant snow occurred over Arkansas in the cold air on the last day of this prolonged rain event. Now, if we look at the extent of snow over the United States, and I'll be looking at this a lot more over the next month or two as we get closer to spring snowmelt season. But right now you can see the extent of snow over the nation. It's about 30%, and you might remember as we started 2013, it was nearly 60%. So right now it's really been reduced, and this week there will be some additions, but nothing all that significant. I mentioned the heavier rain was to the east of our area, and you can see just one point here did reach near minor flood along the Texas-Louisiana border, and there was some scattered flooding over the southeast and mid-Atlantic states. I indicated these areas here, but everything was off to the east in the area of heavier rain. Last week is actually pretty interesting from one of these oscillations in that we tapped Pacific moisture, and that was indirectly associated with the MJO. This week I'm going to go back and talk about the Arctic oscillation, and what you can see here is since the beginning of the year we've dipped into a negative phase. We went right back near positive. Now we're dipping into somewhat of a more significant negative phase, and then alternating right back up to more of a moderate negative phase. And this is your classic Arctic oscillation as we get into the middle part of winter here. What you see here in blue are below normal temperature outlook for this week. And typically in a negative phase Arctic oscillation, coldest air pushes into Minnesota, and then it moves off into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, up into the northeast U.S. And that's pretty classic. Over the southwest U.S., temperatures are above normal and it's pretty quiet. That's what we see this week with the jet stream. Here's the jet stream this week, these green lines, and this is the pocket of cold air. Here's your cold Arctic vortex. But over the south part of the nation here, you see these red lines, and these are positive anomalies of pressure, and that's saying the actual heights or the jet stream is a bit further to the north, and that would mean more moderate type temperatures and quiet weather. In fact, I'm not going to prolong this briefing all that much today because it does look like another very quiet week, perhaps as quiet as it was last week. Most of the region, this actually goes into early the following week, shows no rain whatsoever, just modest amounts of rain over the eastern part of the state. That's just about a 1/4 inch, so it's not all that significant. Pretty dry, and if we look at the specific amounts for the next 7 days, look at this. Look how much of the region, all of Nebraska, all of Oklahoma, almost all of Texas, no rain over the next week. So very quiet, and consequently upper soil moisture, even though it's the middle of winter, we are going to see some very minor to modest decreases in upper soil moisture as we go through the week. So your takeaway points, I don't know how to say it other than a dry and quiet week throughout this week and into next week as well. I will be updating this in about a week. Thank you for listening.